Hey everybody, Matt Hill here in Oklahoma City with my friends. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Morgan Jones. I'm the founder and executive director of the Steam Engine.
Michael Whitten, I'm one of the board members of the Steam Engine. Also work locally with Tier 1 Completions.
I just work with. He's the VP, everybody. He's the main sales, and business development. And when I say business development, I mean they're not going to be anywhere without him. Right? Arguably, allegedly.
We're going to be more modest than that.
I'm not going to be. I'm going to promote him. He brings me important people that are just on the fringes of our little oilfield society, bringing in good STEM research for children. Is that right? What all is the charity about?
So the Steam Engine's a 501c3.
Yep.
We work with students in the ages of 8 to 13. We primarily partner with existing after-school groups like Boys and Girls Club and YMCA. And we come in once a week to work with their students about 90 minutes, completing different curriculum modules in 8-week units aligned to the 8 major industries here in Oklahoma, which includes energy. And so I think that's one of the reasons that I'm here today, is really to talk about how what we're doing with young kids is introducing them to potential careers here in Oklahoma.
I didn't even know we had. See, and this is where I'm siloed and I need people's help. What 8 industries, do we have here?
I knew you were going to ask me that, and I'll do my best to rattle them off.
Make one up. Everybody that's watching this.
Well, actually, that's kind of the truth.
I know there's the golf industry. Anything that has to do with oil and gas, right? I know there's the golf industry, the food industry, the beverage industry.
Well, so
the FR industry.
So according to the state, our 8 major industries are energy, aerospace and defense, architecture, engineering, construction, all kind of lumped together. We're the ones that support everybody else existing, right? We've got to make sure that there's built infrastructure, and then you all make sure that there's energy to power it up. There is manufacturing and sort of the distribution logistics piece. There is a growing tech base here, in Oklahoma, particularly in Oklahoma City. We have a
There's some private equity firms pitching into those right now too. We, one of our oil and gas guys started a private equity firm just to fund tech.
It's a really neat ecosystem, and that's one of the fun things that's been about my job, is because we touch all 8, I get to kind of dip my toes into all of them and meet really cool people doing cool things.
We do have a lot of cool people here. I mean, everywhere I see people moving to Oklahoma. I mean, I know that some people move to Texas and they're super disappointed, but those that get here first, they're pretty happy.
Sure. I'm trying to think. How many have I named?
So that was 7.5.
Okay. Well, then there's the growing one, which is the film and creative industries.
Yeah. I was about to ask about the film. I mean, we've got a lot going on there too, and that's tech.
It's tech runs through all of them in some place, and that's actually one of our big pillars. Is instead of talking about tech as its own vertical or industry, talking about how technology actually is what powers a lot of the innovation across industries, and that's not the way we teach it, particularly to young people. We teach them, here's how you code, not, hey, if this is what you want to do in relationship to solving a problem in the future, here's how you can apply technology to that problem.
So, Tier 1, for example, so 30,000 foot view, what do you guys do anyway?
We basically do perforating and the completion side of the business, so not super high tech, but we're also always advancing different ways of doing it by building a new system here, creating a new tie into these different lateral sciences or core of what these guys are doing, different things, technology downhole.
I mean, I've seen tools on on that side of things where they found where the rock breaks the best when you shoot through the casing. And now, they can steer those once they get down there, and they, have cameras inside of them now, and they can look through the rock like, oh, we need to point that gun this way. So we are having a revolution of technology, and the more I see in our industry is the less hammers that are swinging. That just means that there's 5 more people we actually need to employ that are going to be on the technology side of things. Yes, there might be one less hammer out there, but there's now going to be 2 engineers and a technician and this guy in design that has to come up with this tool and deploy it properly with computers. So we're way behind on getting that smart element into our industry.
Sure. One of the things,
replace the sledgehammer.
One of the things we always ask in our programs is, who made that, or where did that come from? And young people don't always stop to ask, well, who made that building? Where did where did the idea for that piece of content come from? Who was responsible for producing it? Where did the equipment come from? And that's one of the things that we try to make sure when we're working with students, particularly the students that we work with from backgrounds where they may not have access to those resources in their everyday life, that they're getting to ask about those questions and they're thinking. It doesn't just, something doesn't just materialize. Someone had to think it up, pull together resources and then make it. And then they had to get out there and market it and sell it and manufacture it and service it in the afterwards. And that's, again, our education system isn't necessarily set up to talk about the life cycle of a product or a service. We focus a lot more on content, and our programs are a lot more about problem solving and building foundational skills related to problem solving. So what do you do when it doesn't work the first time? We deal with a lot of tears.
It's exactly the opposite of what our school systems are right now. Our school, hey, by all means, we got this far with the USA, and we love our country, but we got this far with building students for factories. Mm-hmm. No problem solving skills. We just need you to get up, go to work, pull this lever, and get on with it. And the problem solving, is really just left to other people.
Part of the ability, in my opinion, why I wanted to get on the board of the steam engine is because we don't even teach our kids to be engineers, especially our young girls. We lead them away from that in the state of Oklahoma. We train kids to get away from those and not pursue technical degrees. Like I knew when I was playing with Legos when I was a young kid that I was going to be either an architect or an engineer or something. And I pretty much stayed that whole course my entire life. But that is not the case for most people in this state.
Yep. No, there's, we get them a degree, right? And that's the goal. Like it feels sometimes like, and I remember too, it's like we're just trying to get you on to the next thing and not be ready for the real world.
But the steam engine can prepare kids for, hey, maybe you're not going to college. Maybe you're going to take what you learned in this steam application, you're going to take and learn a trade. We get past that too much thinking like, oh, well, you got to go to college, That's not necessarily true.
No.
Right.
I think we're going to be a very certificate kind of based, education system in the future to where, hey, I'm turning whatever age and now I want to go pursue this, certificate. I want to go pursue that one, and it's not going to take me 4 years. It's going to take me 6 months of this, hardcore, training module.
Sure. A lot of what we do in our 3rd through 8th grade programs is exposure. And as we're doing that, we're trying to make sure students understand, one, that there's jobs out there related to the activities that we're doing and that they can be done here in Oklahoma. They don't necessarily require a college degree. And then two, we try to make sure and act as a connector to other programs that would be a next step. So we aren't necessarily developing additional technical programs at the high school level because there's already a lot of investment in those technical programs once you get into high school. But there's not a whole lot happening coordinated in a statewide systematic way in regards to STEM in elementary and middle school. And that's one of the roles we're trying to play as a connector and a builder in terms of helping school districts identify opportunities for working with local industry. There's a program here in the state called ICAP. It's Individual Career and Academic Plans. I believe this current graduating class this year is the first one that's going to be required to have had a career and academic plan, and it requires that students do work-based learning, job shadowing, attending a career fair while they're in high school. They actually have to explore potential career paths beyond just, what am I doing in my classes.
How many jobs do you say you might have open right now at Tier 1? Just one oilfield service company?
5 to 10 here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That we
just here in
struggle
Oklahoma
to fill, and it rotates pretty quickly. I mean, this industry changes.
Yeah. So 5 to 10 just here, one service company, and how many in Midland? Probably about the same.
The same, if not more.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to grow more there this year than we were going to grow in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and those are all, those roles are all. You would like them to be the more technical kind of a person.
The more technical role, yes. Better.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's just one of, how many service companies do we have? Thousands.
Yeah, thousands.
So, there could be roughly 100,000 jobs open right now in our industry that we're not even really seeing that need to be filled by, technologically
aren't necessarily
astute
degree
students.
people, but some kind of technical ability that we need to have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. See, that's where, we start putting in, real numbers and see the real numbers of what we're after, and then knowing full well, despite, you see leaders who ought to know better, about our own energy policy that say, oh, it's, we're only going to need oil and gas for, 10 years. But the rest of the people that are knowledgeable is like, well, we need all forms of energy, and oil and gas is the backbone of that. And we're right now looking at the next 50 years. We got to do everything we can to add all forms of energy, because the hockey sticks keep going up because energy demand is going to go up. Human flourishing keeps going up. But I mean, as far as I saw, we really need more, like adding 2 million barrels to the mix per year, every year for the next 50 years to keep up with demand.
Maintain.
That's to maintain.
To sustain the status quo.
Sustain, yeah. Not just to like, oh yeah, there's going to be more people coming online that want to have a middle class fantasy life like we lead, and not have to worry about food, shelter, clothing. They get to thrive and have free time to come up with science and math and all that in their own students and families.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, we can't get past that need for those students and what you're doing more.
Just circling back to what Morgan was talking about, like the career path. Like, yes, when we get to the high school age, these students, they have these opportunities, but the problem with it is most kids in rural Oklahoma, or even civilized, or not rural, but urban Oklahoma, they decide by 5th or 6th grade if they hate math and science. And so they don't even pursue that. And so that's what the STEAM engine is here to change.
We're trying to make sure they keep the door open. I mean, they don't necessarily have to walk through it in 3rd grade, but if you decide in 3rd grade or 4th grade that, you know, I'm not good at science or I'm not good at math, and then come high school, you find a class that you really enjoy, and it turns out that maybe you did want to be an engineer, but you didn't get in the track to be in pre-algebra, and then algebra, you're not going to be ready to go on to those higher level classes. But if we can at least keep them engaged at a younger age, keep them building their self-confidence in their ability to just stay engaged in the process, then we've added to their quality of life. And one of the things that I think is really great about Oklahoma, and I know I'm born and raised here, I've lived all over the state, you know, sometimes we can get down on ourselves for being small, being you know, rural or agricultural based, but one of the really cool things about Oklahoma is we might be small in terms of our population, but it actually has been a thing that's made it easier to build what I've been working on with my team, because we've built relationships so much quicker. And in a state that has a population of about 4.5 million people, you're not very far from anybody else if there's a resource you need, or you need someone who's in an industry because you've got a student who wants to talk to them. And it was brought to my attention not too long ago. So we've got roughly 650,000 public school students.
Oh, that's good.
In Oklahoma, right? So 650,000 students. There are districts in California that have that many students in their whole district. So when we're talking about trying to move the needle for kids here in our state, the amount of investment that we could put here into changing the trajectory of our entire state is really small.
It would not take a lot of
compared to other places.
100%.
Well, I think we have just hired a leader that's willing to start taking those steps. We already have, you know, good guys that, you know, are thinking about this constantly. But just like you said, we roughly have 5 million people in Oklahoma. Last time I talked to, you know, Pinnell, our VP of Oklahoma, basically, he's like, yeah, we need to double the amount of people in our state. And the only way, like you said earlier, like, well, we have to have the education system to draw people here. Why were you going to come here in the first place unless you have a high-paying, technology-based job where your kids have a place to have the opportunities to learn so that they move on in life as well and thrive.
Sure.
Yeah, well, we don't want them moving on. We want them staying here and adding back to our society,
Yeah.
right? We don't want to train our engineers up, or even the point of training our teachers up, sending them to Texas. We need to keep them here in Oklahoma.
What can we do, you know, as a, you know, on our side, on our industry to, you know, help you out?
Sure.
I mean, you know, my friend's bringing you, you know, in here like, I got somebody. You know, thank you for that. Like, he's my new sidekick. Yeah. I'm yours. Okay, my co-host from now on.
Yeah.
Well,
You can wear the cape.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, we do have them.
No capes. So we have a couple of events coming up. We have a youth career fair on March 25th. We're looking for industry partners that want to have a little career fair booth with a hands-on activity for kids to kind of come through. They'll have a passport that they get stamped at each spot.
I already got my booth set.
All right, so we're looking for fun hands-on activities to introduce kids to careers here in Oklahoma. So that's March 25th. I'll give you the email address or the web address, and you can direct people to that. We also have our first State of STEAM breakfast We're going to have speakers in a panel format from workforce development, economic development, and education, and we're going to talk about how they all intersect to support and play off of one another. That will be March 30th at Will Rogers Theater.
Oh, back to back. I like this.
Yep. And
Full
then
steam.
Full steam.
I knew where. Yeah, we had a crew. That's all we got is puns.
I love a good pun. And then we'll have some other events later on this year, but those are the two we have coming up. We're always looking for folks who are interested in helping support either in our programs as a mentor. We would ask for a quick commitment of at least 4 weeks so that students get to know you. You're not just one time. They want to get to know you, know what your life looks like because you're a professional in a STEM career. And really the biggest thing is just to tell other people about us. We're relatively new. We started in 2019, so we've just celebrated our 3rd year. We're working with about 250 students a week across 11 different sites in the Oklahoma City metro, but our goal is to have a statewide presence by 2030. So we're working on building our capacity, both financial as well as just relational networks in terms of being able to start looking at the next geography, and then continuing to build out curriculum.
How do people get a hold of you?
So for me personally, LinkedIn's the best place.
Okay.
I'm very active on there.
We like LinkedIn.
LinkedIn has been a great resource. Both our organization, the Steam Engine, is on there. I'm on there. And then signing up for our newsletter is really the best way for us to be able to contact people directly about upcoming activities and events.
What's the website?
The website's www.steamengineokc.org.
Yeah, I'll put it across the video or something somehow. Well, and also you're open obviously to come in and talk to all of our groups. I mean, we have the SPE, the AADE, the IADC, the Oilfield Christian Fellowship. I mean, if you have a group out there, bring them in and give them an opportunity to learn about what we do and get these kids educated, right?
Absolutely. I tell everybody I will talk to anyone and everyone for as long or as short as they'll let me.
Yeah, your voice will get sore like mine did at
NAPE.
At NAPE, and where else were we? The FRAC
HFTC.
conference. Yeah, we did it all. We met a lot
Last
of
week
people.
was a busy week.
It was a busy week. It was good. Well, this is what we do. I get to
thanks.
meet amazing people that contribute to our human flourishing endeavors, and no small part to oil and gas as well. And you, homie, thank you so much.
Hey, no problem.
I
We appreciate
appreciate you.
your
So thank you.
Oh, and hey, what's your website?
www.tier1cs.com.
And what's your email? Can they have that?
mwhitten@tier1cs.com.
There you go. Get a hold of him. Say thank you. Bring him to speak to your group too.
If you want to be bored to sleep.
There we go. Take care. God bless.
Thank you.
See you, everybody. Bye bye.